DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mentalities, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, as I already told you, what's going to be the topic: how to go from a good player to a difference maker. Yes, there is a process to getting there. No, this is not something that you just have to be born with. There are some people who are kind of born with this, but there is an intentionality behind being a difference maker that anyone can develop, and every difference maker has to have. They have to have a certain level of intentionality behind being that difference maker, even if they have a high level of skill and even a high amount of innate abilities to be a difference maker. At some point, it has to become conscious in order for it to be consistent. You follow what I'm saying? So that's why there's a process to actually going from one to the other. And you might wonder, well, Dre, if there's a process for it, why isn't everybody a difference maker? There's an answer to that question too. It's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. Now, before I get into it, let me tell everybody, first of all, every difference maker that I know, they receive my daily motivation text straight to their phone, free of charge, every single day. So if you are a difference maker or you plan on becoming one, then your first step is to text me so that you can get this daily motivation message. My number is 305-384-6894. Once you are in my texting community and get my daily motivation text, here's something else that I'm going to tell you up front. That is me sending those texts so you can actually respond to any text message that you receive, and you will be texting directly with Dre Baldwin. So if you want to ask me a question, share a challenge, give me some feedback on something that you heard here on the show, you can do that by simply texting 305-384-6894. Now, this topic here today, before we get into this, I'm going to tell you that I've done many episodes on this concept of becoming great. And it is a first cousin of the difference maker. The greatness mindset and being great and choosing to be great is a first cousin of the difference maker. So let me refer you to a few episodes in which I've talked about this. Episode number 1833 is the consistency of greatness. Episode number 1583, why doesn't everyone want to be great? Episode number 1543, how to focus on your greatness. Episode number 1393, your moral obligation to be great. Episode number 1148, making the leap from good to great. That is a good companion episode to what we're about to talk about here today. And I'll give you one more. Episode 1103, the greatness equation. It's one of my favorites, 1103. So make sure you check all of those out. In addition to what you're going to hear here today, and those links to each one of those episodes is down below in the show notes. So if you want to be the person that I mentioned yesterday, that difference maker that I was talking about, today I'm going to give you the game plan and the mindset for doing it, and I want to give the caveat that this is all assuming that you have enough game, you have enough skill actually to earn the respect of your peers already. So I'm assuming you already have skill set. What I'm going to talk about here today is the mentality and the decision that goes with being the difference maker, not about the skill set. So if you don't have the skills, then you can send me a text. Tell me what skills you're missing or what skills you are in need of, and I can refer you to some episodes of my show or maybe some videos I put out or a book that I've written that will help you out with that. But I'm assuming you already have the skills. So today we're talking specifically about the mindset and the decision that goes behind being the difference maker, because this is, as I said, a choice. This is not something that randomly happens. Point number one. Topic once again is how to go from good player to difference maker. Number one, you must accept that what you're doing is not just about you anymore. It's the first thing that every difference maker must accept, is that it's no longer just about you and, again, what you get. It's not just about your money or just about filling in your job description and fulfilling what is expected of you personally. It's about the entire organization, the entire group that you're a part of. That's your responsibility now, all of it. It's all your responsibility, even though most of the challenges that come up most of the time are probably not going to be your fault. because a difference maker usually is a very, very highly competent individual, usually pretty damn good at doing their job. So when there's a problem or something not being done right, it's usually not the difference maker who is not doing their job correctly. It's someone else who doesn't have the difference maker's skill set, who they're not doing their job correctly. And even though it has nothing to do with you, it is your responsibility as a difference maker to help pick up the slack for wherever anyone else in the group is falling short. That is your responsibility. It is all on you. It's a mandate that is on you because you have the role of difference maker. Now you're seeing already why maybe not everybody wants this role. There are people who have the capability of being difference makers who simply do not want to be. They don't want to take on all this responsibility. They don't want to make this decision. They don't want everything to be on their shoulders. And as I said yesterday, there's a disclaimer about a difference maker. There's nothing wrong with you if you don't want to be this person. Just understand that if you decide to be this person, all of this is the job description. All right, you cannot pick and choose which parts you want. All right, this is not like an a la carte menu. This is like a prefix menu. All right, those of you who know what I'm talking about when I say that? Let me just explain that for people who maybe don't go to the kind of restaurants to do this. An a la carte menu is how most restaurants are. You go to a restaurant and they have all this stuff on it. They got the appetizers, they got the side dishes, they got the main courses, you got the pastas, the burgers, the sandwiches, the seafood, the steaks, and you just look at the menu and you just pick out whatever you want. I want this. You just pick out whatever you want. That's called a la carte. You can pick and choose whichever pieces you want to take and leave anything you don't want, okay? The other way that some restaurants do things, and usually this happens on special occasions, like here in Miami, they had this event called Miami Spice, where restaurants put together a pre-fixed menu, and you just pay one price and you get exactly what they're already offering. Or let's say if you go to a restaurant on Thanksgiving or on Christmas Day or certain holidays, usually those two holidays, many restaurants, at least down here in Miami, they'll have what they call a prefix menu, same way, where they'll be like 2 or 3 appetizers, 4 different main dishes, and maybe 2 different desserts. And you can either choose amongst the 2 or 3 options that they have in each section, or they bring you like a family style, everything that's on the menu. You get everything that's on there, but it's prefixed so that the restaurant, and they do this so the restaurant already knows exactly what they're making, exactly what their costs are going to be, all of that. And they just bring all of that to the table no matter who's there. You know, you get all the same stuff. I'm telling you all of that to tell you this. Not so that you go into the restaurant business, but so you understand being a difference maker is a prefixed menu. All right, everything that I'm telling you about being a difference maker, you can't decide, okay, I want like 9 out of the 10 things that Dre talked about, but that 10th thing, I don't want that one. I'm gonna leave that off, but I'm still a difference maker. No, you can't do that. All right, that is against the rules. There is a mandate. As I said, you get all of it or you get none of it. You're either a difference maker or you're not. And to be a difference maker, you must accept everything that I'm sharing here today, okay? Now that we're clear on that. Even though the challenges within your organization are often not your fault because you're pretty damn good, it's your responsibility. When somebody else doesn't do their job, you fix it. If you have a teammate who is not performing right now, you pick up the slack. This is all what you're signing up for, and it's important that you accept all of this, not only logically, because I know I can explain things pretty well. You can probably logically accept everything that I ever said on the show, but do you emotionally accept it? And those are 2 different things. When you logically accept something, that means you can repeat it back to me, you can write it down, you could explain it to somebody else if you understand it well enough, and you on the surface can accept it. And that's fine. But when you emotionally accept something, here's the difference. Here's what else happens, is that you actually act on it and you start living it out. Because many of you get my text messages, you watch my YouTube videos, you listen to the podcast, you read my books, and you logically agree with the things that I'm telling you, but you're not acting on any of them. That's the difference between emotionally accepting something and logically accepting it. Many of you logically accept a lot of things and do absolutely nothing with these things that you logically know. This is the people who you tell them something that they're clearly not executing on, and they say something like, well, I already know that, or that's common sense. Or you tell them and then they say, well, yeah, that's something that I already knew. I have people say these kind of things to me all the time. Then I'm looking at them like, okay, well, why do you not have any results in your life that are a reflection of this knowledge that you claim to have? See, when you have real knowledge of something, you're acting on it, not just talking about it, not just knowing it, not just being able to cite, hey, I know where you heard that from, you read the same book, or you watched this video, or you heard of this person. That's cool if you, quote unquote, know something, but you don't really know it until you're doing it. And you actually don't really know it until you're teaching. So you need to emotionally accept the things I'm telling you here today, not just logically accept them. Many people logically accept something and they accept everything about a difference maker, even though they're not a difference maker. Understand that real difference makers display their emotional acceptance of these principles via their actions, not their words. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to go from good player to difference maker. No finger pointing allowed. unless you're pointing it at yourself or unless everybody else is pointing fingers and they're pointing it at you. That's the only time that finger pointing is allowed. I told you in episode 1153, the concept of the mirror and the window is a leadership concept. Leaders always look in the mirror. They look at themselves and figure out, what can I do to help this situation? Whereas everyone else who's not a leader, therefore they don't have the same responsibilities as a leader, they have much less. They can look out the window. They can look and say, well, who's going to do something about this? A leader looks in the mirror and says, I got to do something. What am I going to do? They might not even have an answer, but they got to figure it out. That's why they're the leader. Everyone else gets to say, well, somebody need to do something, but it ain't going to be me. That's why they're looking out the window. They're trying to find out who that person is. When you're a difference maker, you're not allowed to point fingers unless you're pointing in the mirror, because then you'd be pointing at yourself. But you can't point fingers at anybody else because you took the position of difference maker, remember? And all of this is the prefix menu, remember? The only other finger pointing allowed is when everybody else in the group is pointing at you, because they're looking at you like, all right, what you gonna do? You're the leader. We're waiting on you to take initiative, and we'll follow you. But you can't follow anybody, difference maker. Pointing fingers at others is no longer in your repertoire when you are a difference maker. Remember, you're the difference maker, all right? So you can't point fingers at anybody else. They can't make the difference, you make the difference. And you can not pass off responsibility to anyone, all right? That is no longer in your repertoire to pass off responsibility and say, all right, somebody else will take care of that. Everything is on you at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, the year, the business, the project, the game, the season. Everything's going to be coming back to you. Everybody's going to be looking at you and saying, okay, here's the results of the organization. You're the difference maker in the organization. So whatever the organization did, we're going to judge you based off the organization's results. So if the organization sucks, they're going to judge you based on that sucky results, the sucky results of the organization. The organization did great. You're going to be judged based off the great results of the organization. This is the way that it works. It's all on you. And remember, you're the difference maker. So if there's something in your organization that you don't like, something that needs to be changed, upgraded, improved, edited, it needs to be different. Well, guess who makes things different? The difference maker. All right, that's why you're called the difference maker. If you want something to be different within your organization, you are the one responsible for making that thing different. And if you abdicate from this responsibility, then you are no longer qualified to call yourself a difference maker. You are no longer leading. You are now a subordinate. You are now a follower. You are now a member of the rank and file. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a member of the rank and file or being a subordinate or a follower. But if you want to be a difference maker, then you got to take all of the responsibilities that come with it, not just the parts that are convenient for you. Everybody with me still? Good. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to go from good player to difference maker. Number 3, your energy is the group's energy. Your energy is the group's energy. What I mean by this is not that whatever the group is feeling, that's how you feel. No, the other way around. However you feel, that's how the group is going to feel. When I was giving a speech a few weeks ago, in the Q&A session, somebody asked me a question specifically around this concept. They were saying, well, I work with a lot of people who maybe things haven't been going so great for them since the shutdowns and all this stuff, and they don't have the right type of energy. Maybe they've lost some business. They're not doing as well as they were before. So they don't always have such great positive energy simply because things are not going as well for them as they were before. And I am supposed to be leading those people. This is what the audience who was asking the question is saying. What can I do in that situation, Dre? And my answer was the same thing I'm about to tell you right now. You as the leader, even if things are not going so great for you, even if things are not looking good for you, even if you're not sure what the future holds for you and you are feeling a little bit anxious and a little bit uncertain about yourself and your business and your industry and your career prospects and your future success and all of that, here's your job as the difference maker, is to show up completely certain and be the confidence barometer for everybody else in the organization. That's your job. It is your job to show up with a level of confidence that is so high that other people in the organization who are feeling just as anxious as you, just as uncertain as you, just as unsure about their future success as you, they are dealing with challenges just as much as you, maybe more than you. They need to be able to look at you and feel confident about their situation, even that anxious, uncertain situation, because they looked at you and they see how confident you are. You need to show up in a certain way that allows people to believe in you even when they aren't believing in themselves. That's your job as a difference maker. Now, again, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to be a difference maker. But if you are a difference maker, you have no choice but to do this. And if you are a difference maker and you're not doing this, then you will not be a difference maker for much longer. All right, somebody's going to show up and let you know that your services are no longer needed in the community. Your energy is the energy of the group. As you go, they go. What it means is, even further, what it means is you cannot afford to have bad energy days. You cannot afford to not show up. What we're talking about here, your energy being the group's energy, this is the third day come to life. You want to see what the third day looks like in real life? All you got to do is be the leader in a group that might be dealing with some challenges, might be dealing with some setbacks, maybe dealing with some loss, some defeat, some uncertainty. All right, that's the third day for the group. Your job as the leader is to make the decision, because the subtitle of this book says it right there on the cover, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. You got to make the decision to show up all the way and bring the kind of energy that you have enough confidence that other people can borrow a little bit of yours and you still got plenty. That's your job as a difference maker. And I want you to understand something. Those of you who have been listening to yesterday, you listened today, and maybe you're excited about possibly becoming a difference maker, understand something. It is not nearly as fun or as easy as it sounds. This whole concept of being a difference maker sounds fun, sounds easy, it sounds like something that everybody wants to do. And yeah, that's how it's supposed to sound. I'm a good salesperson, so I can sell you on these concepts. But it's one thing for me to sell you on, it's another thing for you to execute on it. To sell you on it is just to get you nodding your head and saying, yeah, I want to do that. Execute on it is when you got to go out there and actually live it. And when you go out there and actually live it, you're going to run into the third day. Even better, the third day might run into you. And then you got to figure out what to do. And it's not nearly as easy or as fun as it sounds when I'm talking about it. But understand something. You will have to experience this for yourself to really get it. Again, you're going to have to experience it emotionally as well as logically. You must emotionally understand what I'm talking about when I say you're responsible for everything, even if it's not your fault. You might logically get it, but you're going to have to emotionally feel it and go through it to really know. So here's the question I'm going to close with and leave you with for you to ponder on here today. And you should take this through your actions today and tomorrow and the day after that. Are you a difference maker or just merely a good player? Which one are you? Are you a difference maker or just a good player? And yes, you are one or the other. Most people are just good players. And there's nothing wrong with being a good player. Every organization needs a good player. Every difference maker wants good players around him or her because it makes it easier for them to lead an organization. The more good players they have, the more they know things are going to get done competently. But there are a lot of good players who think they're difference makers when they're really not. So if you want to be the person I mentioned yesterday, here's that game plan and the mindset for doing it all as we recap today's class. Again, this is all assuming that you have enough game to earn the respect of your peers. Number one, understand that this thing that you're involved in is not just about you anymore. It's not just about you. It's not all about you. As a matter of fact, it's not about you at all. So if somebody doesn't do their job, you got to fix it, even though it's not your fault. If a teammate's not performing, you got to pick up the slack. You're signing up for all of this. This is a prefixed dinner menu. You cannot pick and choose. You cannot swap anything out. You got to deal with all of it, not just the parts that you want to. Point number 2, no finger pointing allowed unless you're pointing the finger in the mirror at yourself or unless everybody else in the group is pointing at you. Everything will always get pointed at you if there's any pointing. Okay, pointing fingers is no longer in your repertoire because remember, you're the difference maker. So if you want something to be different, guess who's going to make it different? You, the person with the title that is literally the difference maker. And point number 3, your energy is the energy of the group. As you go, they go. Meaning you can't afford bad energy days. You can't afford to not show up. This is the third day come to life. You want to see the third day in real life, this is it. And it is not nearly as easy nor as fun as it sounds. But you'll have to gain the experience and see it for yourself to really get it. Again, you need to get it emotionally because you can get it logically just by listening to me talk about it. You can get it emotionally by living it. So the question is, are you a difference maker or are you just merely a good player? Send me a text. All you difference makers out there, you get my daily motivation text free of charge to your phone every day. My number is 305-384-6894. And my group coaching programs, if you want to work with me directly, you want to get trained by me, you want to get your questions answered by me when it comes to your business, when it comes to your personal growth, maximizing out on yourself and becoming that difference maker in any organization you happen to be a part of, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, choose the appropriate program that you're interested in. That can either be group coaching or one-on-one, and let's have a conversation and see where it takes us. Work on your game. Dre all day.